Like your heart knows the answer, bitch. And crazy, it's free. You just put your hand on your heart, you take some deep breaths, you tune in, and you just listen. And she just guides you. And you're like, this doesn't make any sense. That's the thing. Your heart doesn't make logical sense. So it's like your human self and your heart led self are constantly just like.
This is a soft place to land. I'm Michelle Andrea, and this is a space for honest conversations, emotional depth, and a mirror for your becoming. I had no idea that you had 2 podcasts.
I've had 3 actually. I definitely want to get back into podcasting at some point. I have dreams to start a media company. So that'll be like part of it. I'm really trying to start, not that Goop isn't ethical, but like an ethical Goop, basically, where it's just like everyone in wellness, like where I'm just like pushing them, we're all going to the top. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love to talk. I love to smack my gums. That is my favorite thing to do.
And you're good at it. And you're really, really damn good at it. I found you because of the wonderful world of TikTok. And I came across your video on my For You page. And I was like, holy shit, this girl is speaking to me. Like, I feel as though you were just like sitting next to me on the couch, shooting the shit. And I was like, okay, sat, heard, listening.
I love that.
I would love to open up this space and give you the chance.
Thanks, Hannah. I am at the end of my Saturn return, and I was an esthetician for 5 years. I recently quit my job and decided to start my own business in wellness. I'm also a Reiki master. And my business is called Really Get Into It Co. And it's a mix between community events and then also just like nervous system regulation, helping the girls remember who the fuck they are. And I launched a journal not that long ago that's called the Self Help Detox Journal. And it's basically all of my self help icks from the time that I was 12, put on medication through treatment and therapy and all of that up till now. And it's all about like embodying rather than fixing because, newsflash, we're not broken. We're not these wounded little fucking birds that society wants us to feel like we are. So yeah, I tried to take all of my pain basically and put it into a digestible journal so that women can take over the world is really what it's about. So yeah, I started doing TikToks. Um, I just love to yap, and the more that I yap, the more I'm finding me again. I abandoned myself a very long time ago and was trying to be the next person just to be liked and accepted. And I'm realizing that if you're liked by everybody, you're loved by nobody. And I'm okay with being polarizing. I curse a lot. I am kind of fiery. I'm also a little whimsy and flowy. I have a Leo rising, so I love to be a superstar. And I'm just embracing it. And the more that I embrace it, the more I find people like you. And I love that. So that's who I am.
I want to ask you, what was that moment of transition for you from being an esthetician and wanting to seek approval and then finding that for yourself, making that change for yourself? Because it's a conscious action that you are literally altering, and it's not easy and it's not overnight. So
When I was in school, I didn't go to college. Slight backstory, I'm very dyslexic, and school's always been really hard for me. I was like, what can I do that's like a trade? Like, how can I make money and not have to go to college? Because I don't really want to go into debt. I went to treatment when I was in high school. So I was like, what can I do? So I went to aesthetic school, and halfway through the program, I bawled my eyes out to my teacher. And I was like, I don't care about people's skin. Like, I care about people's hearts. Like, I want people to know that they're like good enough, that they don't need like a cream or a serum or a this or that. Like they're perfect. Like these people are perfect. And I was like, you know what, Hannah, like you're halfway through. Just keep going, my girl. You got it. So I finished, I learned about Reiki while I was in aesthetic school. And so I kind of explored that avenue and got certified to be a Reiki master. So I would do Reiki facials on people. And I didn't really market it as Reiki facials. I just kind of marketed it as like a facial. And people were like, oh my God, what did you just do to me? Like, that was the best facial ever, like, blah, blah, blah. And I bounced around from like aesthetic job to aesthetic job. And my last job, I worked at a plastic surgeon's office. And I really liked it at first. And then it become a little bit toxic. And it was a really big eye opener for me. I had mentioned this to you earlier before we started recording, but I started to feel a lot of anger, like so much rage in my body. And I kept telling myself, like, I'm not an angry person. I'm not an angry person. Um, and I realized that like my anger was really trying to guide me. And when I like leaned into what it was saying, um, I realized that I was out of alignment. Like being an esthetician was good for the 5 years that it was, but I have always known that I was like meant for more. And I've read a lot of studies about how like community is just like good for your health. Like people who are in community live longer. And I just felt really out of alignment. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to quit. And so I quit. I am a nanny now, part time, as I'm like what I like to call my wellness empire. Um, and I am meeting, it's really, really crazy what happens when you choose yourself. When you choose that like little girl inside of you and you love her and support her and show up for her and comfort her and nurture her. And especially being a nanny. Like for me, I was like, this is such a fucking step back. Like I went from making bank as an esthetician to now I'm making like X amount an hour, like $25 an hour watching kids. Like I feel like I'm going backwards. And what I've realized is you're never going backwards. Even if it feels like you're going backwards, you're actually never going backwards. And being a nanny has taught me how to reparent and how to parent the inner child in me and how to show up for her. Because I talk to a 3-year-old all day. And sometimes I'm like, damn, universe, you really just be doing the big one all the time. And sometimes I think you have to be like almost like ripped out of your comfort zone or like ripped out of this like familiar pattern of life to reevaluate like what the fuck you want and what you want to do. Like we live on a floating rock in outer space and there's no like I should or I shouldn't or whatever. It's like just do what feels good. So that's what I'm doing. And it's working. So I'm gonna keep doing
Amen. A woman. A woman. It's working. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's the thing. It's like you have to be living for what feels good because we can intellectualize what we think we should do. There's something about taking our brain out of the equation and allowing our hearts to speak and quieting the mind a little bit so that we can feel what our body is asking us, what our being is asking us, what our soul is asking us. Hannah!
I've
Oh
definitely
my
learned that
God.
it's really easy, especially in the wellness space. I feel like the wellness psychosis is at like an all-time high, and capitalism has gotten its fucking talons in it, and you think it makes you think that you need the next thing. And I mean, as somebody who has a literal wellness product, nobody needs anything. Okay. Everything you need, you already have and you know the answer. And like we go through life just like searching for the answer outside of ourselves because we're like, oh, there's no possible way that I just have it. And we're like conditioned to believe that it's outside of us. So then we like search and search and search and search, and when you're able to just be quiet enough and like still enough and like really tune into your heart, like your heart knows the answer, bitch. And crazy, crazy, crazy. It's free. You just put your hand on your heart, you take some deep breaths, you tune in, and you just listen. and she just guides you. And you're like, this doesn't make any sense. That's the thing. Your heart doesn't make logical sense. So it's like your human self and your heart led self are constantly just like this. And from personal experience, the more that I've leaned into my heart, my life has gotten so much better. The more that I just trust that my heart knows the way. And people think that you're crazy, and that's fine. That's fine. But I've met the most magical people just trusting my heart and like following my heart. Um, so yeah, I'm a big fan of listen to your heart because she knows the way.
How is it that you're able to start listening when it's daunting and scary and you're in that redirection moment? What is trusting yourself in that way?
That's a really good question. The biggest piece of listening to your heart is like building self trust. And that's like a gradual process. That's not like you wake up one day and you're just like, I trust myself 100% of the time and I, whatever. It's like making, if say, like, for example, you tell yourself that something that I want to do for myself is go on a walk every day. Then you go on a walk every fucking day. And if you feel like not doing it, it's like showing up for yourself the way that you show up for everybody else in your life. And the more that you show up for yourself and the more that you reassure that like little girl inside of you, um, that she's good, that you have got her. You know that in the Barbie movie where she's like, take my hand and feel or whatever she says? It's like that.
It's
I
true.
constantly have to put my hand on my heart when I'm feeling really fucking overwhelmed and really stressed and talk to myself like I talk to the 3-year-old that I nanny and just like really explain and reassure and have conversations between little Hannah and higher self Hannah. Because at the end of the day, I've realized, at least for myself, our higher self is actually the most like littlest version of us when we were like the purest form before we were programmed. Just showing up for yourself in little ways. Um, and like with the walking example, like if you say like I want to walk every day, and one day you wake up and you're like you just got your period, you have no energy. It's like tuning into being like I honor that you don't have much in the tank. Why don't today we just sit outside for 5 minutes and just get some sunlight or things like that? So I just feel like showing up for yourself and like taking care of yourself like you're literally a 3-year-old is magic. Magic will happen.
Hmm. The synchronicities are synchronicity. And I was in a doctor's appointment yesterday. She was literally talking about that. And she was saying and making that exact connection because she was asking me, like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And essentially, she was like, well, what was little Michelle looking for? Who was little Michelle? And she was literally saying, how if I want to be connecting with my higher self, then I just need to be talking to the little version of
Mhm.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I have definitely become who I needed. And I think that's when I know I'm in alignment. One, I have a picture of my little Hannah right next to my computer. So I see little Hannah every day. I and it's less about like I know I gave the walking example, but it's less about being like, I'm gonna do this every fucking day and da 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 da. And it's more about like asking a question. So like, what do I need today? And then listening to what you need that day because it's not the same every day. Like, for example, I have my nighttime routine is like locked in. Like, I don't fuck around when it comes to my nighttime routine. And it's the one time of the day that I like really, 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 really connect with myself and check in and pour back into myself. And the thing is, it's not the same every night. Like some nights I'm taking a bath, some nights I'm doing some somatic jumping around listening to like fun music. Sometimes I'm listening to like meditation music or I'm meditating or I'm whatever, but it's like you might not need the same thing every day. Um And I have found, at least when I don't know what to do or I feel lost or disconnected, just like asking a simple question like, okay, what do we need? Because the answer will come. It might not be the answer that you want, but your body will respond. And yeah, I think it's just about like showing up for yourself. Uh, It's really all.
That's it. That's it. The intentionality behind that.
I post a lot of woo woo content online, and something that I've realized is it used to really enrage me when people would, in the spiritual community, would like try to bypass being a human just in the name of spirituality and be like, I only vibe at the 5D and the 3D isn't for me and da 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 da. And I'd be like, but you're a fucking human. So, I mean, I get that we're spiritual, but also we're humans. And something
Make it
that,
make sense.
yeah, I'm like, girl, what? You came to Earth to be a human. Be a human. But I have realized that woo woo is less about, at least for me, maybe it's different for everybody, but for me, it's less about trying to bypass being a human. And it's more about how can I be little Hannah again in my day to day. And the more woo woo that I get, the more me I become, and the more connected to my like beginning childlike form I feel. And yeah, it's just fun to live in a world of make believe sometimes. And one of my favorite things to do is pretend like when I'm in the shower that the water pouring down on my head is all of my manifestations and abundance just like raining over me. And some people might think that's crazy, and that's fine, but it's working. So I'm not going to stop. So it's just like, how can I be little me every day? Yeah. So I'm like, let's just do that. Let's just be little Hannah every day.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Because that's honestly the secret to what the magic is.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a lot of guilt and shame that comes around with our little selves. As we're growing up, we're humans, we experience life, and we then learn that we can't show this part of ourselves because we're going to get made fun of, or we can't do this, or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Rules society puts on us, or we learn and we think. I've had a challenge, literally, working through that and accepting that and learning that I don't have to necessarily accept it 100%. And rather, I can let it exist without necessarily saying, I love you and I accept you and I am not upset about it anymore. Like some of that stuff is still alive and it's still very real. And I feel like all this to say, I guess I just want to note that like we don't have to necessarily love all of the parts of ourselves that still cut deeply, and rather the intention of acknowledging them alone and acknowledging that they're still real and raw for me has been a blessing of relief because I feel like in the wellness world, everyone sort of preaches that you have to learn to love these parts of yourself that you might not necessarily in that moment. And then you kind of feel shame and more guilt for having that feeling towards them. So, yeah, I've just felt a little bit more liberated in the reminder of accepting that I don't have to accept everything and that it's a journey. This whole life is a journey and it will evolve and it will change and it will grow and it will alchemize on its own. And like you're saying, it's just a matter of really feeling that purity, feeling that magic and feeling that little self, that excitement that your little self just always had. Yeah, that was long-winded, but I would love to get your thoughts.
I'm currently in my do it scared year where I made a list of a bunch of shit that scares the fuck out of me, but that the version that I'm trying to become, what she does. And I've noticed some of those feelings that you're referring to come up. And the other day, actually, it's probably like 2 weeks ago, one of my things on my Do It Scared list was to start trying to sell my journals like to the public face to face. And so I got a booth at this Galentine's event, and I'm sitting at the booth, and there's like a bunch of other vendors around, and everyone's going. The two places that the two people next to me were interactive. So one was a permanent jewelry and one was a tattoo artist. So people are getting in line, whatever. And I've been trying to be more conscious about just like being present and being in my body. Randomly out of the blue, started thinking about my 13th birthday. And my 13th birthday, to my two best friends at the time, we did a joint party. We rented out this gym at a school that my friend's dad worked at. And we had these picture frames, and we had all of our friends sign them. So not all of our friends like knew each of us because we all went to different schools. I vividly remember walking past the table where these picture frames were, and these girls who went to one of my friends' schools said, "Oh, that girl has like no signatures on hers." And I look over, and it was mine. And I remember in that moment feeling like, one, I'm such a fucking loser. Two, everybody can now see that I'm a fucking loser. And that feels awful. And when I was sitting at the table at my event the other week, I realized that sometimes I don't put myself out there because I'm worried about how other people are going to perceive me if it flops or if it's not this like huge success. And it's not that I don't love like the uncomfy feelings. Um, but I've realized that the uncomfy feelings are actually protectors. Um they're not anything that's like trying to make me feel bad. They're more so trying to protect me from feeling bad. Um and when you're able to, or what's been helpful for me is being able to like talk to them like they're a 3-year old and like reassure them that things are going to be okay, and that like I know that it feels icky, or I know that this feels uncomfortable, or whatever it is. I definitely do feel like there's this stigma almost around you have to love everything about yourself. And I'm like, I've done some whack shit in my life that I don't love, that I don't support, like the certain things that I've done in my life. And I feel awful. Like in hindsight, now that I'm almost 30, I'm like, 15-year-old Hannah was crazy as fuck. Okay. I think just like honoring that in that phase or that stage of your life, you were doing the best with what you had, with the beliefs you had, with the environment you were in, with all of it, and not trying to not like shame that version of you, but just to be like, I see you and I understand that that was part of the journey, and not trying to like prolong this like story in my brain about how awful or bad or wrong or whatever um versions of me were, maybe, and becoming who that version needed, really. Like, who did she need? Who was she actually? Maybe she was doing it because she didn't get attention from like her dad or from whoever, and just becoming who she needed. I'm just always trying to become who little me needed, truly. And once you start doing that, once you start doing it for little you, what everybody else thinks is so fucking irrelevant. So I'm like, I'm actually not doing it for you. I'm doing it for little me. And so she loves it. So just like don't stop doing that, really, are my thoughts.
Who was little Hannah? Or who did little Hannah want to be in the world?
Mm, little Hannah loved to perform. Little Hannah loved a camera on her. She loved the little kitten heels and the dress ups. Um, I also went through a phase where little Hannah loved to play school and like restaurant, and my dad bought us, me and my little sister, an overhead projector for our basement, like we had at school, and like a real cash register from Staples. Um, and I just like lived in this world of make believe. Like, and I don't know when, but at some point I like locked that version away because it wasn't like realistic, I guess. Um, and as a Pisces, I'm like very dreamy and I my dreams are very big and I people are always like just be realistic and I'm like no, I'm going to be realistic to me and my crazy dreams are realistic. And so just being whimsy and fun.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something to say of what you go through and what you're able to speak on, and then how you're able to speak on it for others to hear and to learn and to be able to listen to literally like the shit that you went through and how you went through it and what you learned from that and how that made you who you are today. Like there's there's a lot of beauty in the journey and in the process. And it really is only about learning how to be the person for who your younger self needed. Like
Mm-hmm.
in your relationships, in your job, in your family, even like in all areas and aspects of your life. I fear it's the secret to life that a lot of people either, I don't know, don't realize are too cool for, whatever.
The other thing that I wanted to say though was that in terms of like little Hannah, and I feel like people this is like a common thing the more that I talk about it, but I didn't realize how um, being somebody who can feel energy so deeply and doing a lot of like energy work as a Reiki master and stuff, I didn't realize as a young person, as like a kid, that I was also feeling everybody's emotions around me. And so I had a really hard time as a kid deciphering between what's mine and what's somebody else's. Um, and I also like struggled a lot with my mental health. Um, like I have ADHD, I'm dyslexic, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have a mood disorder. Like I have all these fucking things, and it was like a lot as a kid. Like being put on medication at 12. Um, while I'm grateful that that medication exists to help you, um, it also just made me feel like I was like fundamentally flawed and that there was like something wrong with my brain and that if I could just fix my brain, then I would be good enough. I'd be worth enough. I'd be lovable. I wouldn't be too much. So I just like spent my whole life as a young person trying to be less, to be liked or like to be digestible. And it like went against every single thing inside of me because I knew that like my big personality and my big thoughts and my high energy and all of that was what makes me me. And when I was in high school, my parents got divorced right before I went into high school. And I struggled a lot mentally. And I sat my mom down when I was, I want to say, a sophomore in high school. And I was like, Mom, I'm literally drowning. I feel like somebody tied bricks around my ankles and I have no flotation device. Like, you need to send me somewhere. Like, I'm not well. And my mom, my dad sent me to treatment in Utah. And I did wilderness and then I did like an aftercare program, which is now part of like, I don't know if you've heard of Breaking Code Silence, but Paris Hilton is kind of like the face of it a little bit. But it's like these treatment centers in Utah that basically are like abusive, I guess you could say. And they prey on your parents needing, and like they prey on vulnerable people pretty much. The treatment center that I went to does have like lawsuits against it. But I was such a people pleaser that I would do anything. So I wasn't personally affected necessarily in the way that some of my friends were. Um, but going to treatment and feeling like too much and just like trying to fit in this like eensy teensy box was so infuriating almost to my soul. And so I feel like from neglecting myself so much, it created so much rage in my body. And so I've realized as I've gotten older that if you feel a lot or if you like have big feelings or if you're sensitive. I always thought people would be like, you're so sensitive and it would hurt my feelings. So I'd be like, I'm not. I just like care. I just love a lot and I feel big. My feelings are big. And learning to like accept that about myself and just like be who, I mean, back to the what I keep saying, but like being who I needed, who that little Hannah needed, who 15-year-old Hannah needed, who 18-year-old Hannah needed, who 25-year-old Hannah needed. It's like so healing. It's like truly, I just feel free for the first time in my entire life. And I never thought I would feel that. So now I'm on a mission to help every woman I know feel free. Any woman I can help feel that feeling because it is so liberating and it's free. It costs nothing. The entry point is your fucking heart. And so I just yes, there's tools obviously that can help guide you, i.e., my journal, or like embodiment practices, or going to different like Reiki practitioners or therapists or like body workers or whatever. But I'm like, it's all through the heart. Like, that's how you connect. And so I'm just very passionate about the heart.
How did Reiki come into your heart?
Well, when I was in aesthetic school, my class, there was 8 of us, not that many of us, less than 10. And I'm telling you, the universe handpicked each one of us to be together. Like we were meant to find each other. And we range in age too. It was like from 18 to like 50. And we were all just like besties. But one of the girls in my class, she went to Reiki and she was telling us about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's sick. Like I love that. That was it just like was when you hear something and you're like, that speaks to me. It spoke to me truly. And me and one of my best friends, who's still one of my best friends to this day, who I met in aesthetic school, she's almost 60, but we're like thick as thieves. We went to Reiki and then we got certified together and it's just magic. I don't know how else to explain Reiki. It just taps into your inner wisdom, if you will. So through aesthetic school and girls in my class who I love so much, it kind of found me. And I'm like, wait, and I think too, now looking back, part of the reason why I was bawling my eyes out was because to my teacher was because Reiki just felt good in my soul and skincare just didn't. And so I'm like, I can feel what feels good and
Yeah.
I'm neglecting that.
hmm I've never heard of Reiki facials before in my life. Like that, you've blown my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, if you're out there and you're listening and you do Reiki and you also do skincare, I'm telling you, Reiki facials, game changer. Game changer.
It's just so beautiful to also hear like kind of the evolution and like how these things find you and fuel you and then like fuel the next integration as well. Because if it wasn't for you literally being an esthetician, who knows if you'd be a Reiki master right now? Who knows if you'd literally have a journal? All to say,
Truly.
you're right where you belong. You're always right where you belong. And your body is going to tell you when you're not. You're going to break down and you're going to cry.
100%. The other thing that's interesting is that when I was at my last job, when it started to feel misaligned, when it started to just feel like, get out, like literally run. I wasn't running. I was staying right where I was. And my body, the way my body revolted. Like the amount of problems that went awry in my body, like my gut was fucked. I've never had such crazy stomach problems. My skin was going nuts. I was just like holding on to weight. I couldn't, I gained a bunch of weight and then I just like didn't lose it. And like my nervous system was, I'm telling you, if you're having problems with your body, it's there's something energetic happening. Like I know that people say it could be deeper. I'm like, no, bitch, it's all energy. Everything is energy. There's something energetic happening in your body. Even if it's like an autoimmune thing. Go to Reiki, do some acupuncture, go to a naturopath, go to a regular doctor too. Like I'm not against the regular doctors. I just let's look at the whole thing and not just this one problem that we're having with our tummy.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book, The Body? No, sorry. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay?
I haven't, but people keep telling me to read that book. So I think maybe it's time to crack it open.
This is the confirmation
Mm.
for sure. And it speaks to exactly this. Your body will be communicating with you when they do not like what you're doing. They're
Mhm.
going to scream at you.
I will say the more woo that I'm getting and the more I'm like really leaning the fuck into who I am, I'm afraid I'm getting hot. I'm afraid I'm turning into the hottest form of myself. And I'm like, wait, you need to tell me this whole time if I was just choosing me, leaning into me, loving on me, not playing games about me, my life and my body. And I mean, not that it's all just about physical appearance, but like that does help. I'm just saying. I feel good. I feel good. I look good. Skin's glowing.
Dude, and that's what matters. How are you doing you and quieting those voices? Because obviously loud in the beginning, but then as you do it and as you are choosing yourself over the latter, it's going to get easier. And so for somebody who's listening, what is your advice for the version of you who's starting to walk this path of remembering their inner child and really tapping into who they were before they believed they needed to be something else?
First of all, slow the fuck down.
Mm,
Normally, when I was, at least for me personally, when I
me
was
too.
in the in this when you're in fight or flight, your brain thinks you're being chased by a fucking lion, okay? So one, just intentionally slow down, whether that's driving, don't drive like a psychopath. Whether you're eating, don't eat so fast. When you're just like moving through life, just like intentionally, like notice, I'd say noticing how fast you're all the time and like intentionally slowing down. I also am really a big fan of just tapping on my body, on my heart, on my third eye, on my cheeks, my legs. One, it's gonna like help regulate your nervous system a bit. Um, and then I would also say just like being outside, tuning in, asking yourself what you need. Um, and having time like set aside for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's when you get home from work, before you go inside, you sit in your car for 5 minutes and you just either it's silent or you're breathing or you're just like, just you. It's just for you. It's not to check some box that you meditated or that you did something or that you proved that you're this like spiritual baddie. It's for you. It's for little you actually is who it's for. And knowing so that then little you knows that you're going to find time to check in. You're going to find time to show up for her. And I do think that it can be really easy to get caught in this cycle of like trying to vibe higher to like prove that you're spiritual or to prove that you're like like just to prove something. And it's like, and I talk about that in my journal too. It's one of the healing traps that we can get stuck in, but doing things not for a checklist, but doing it for you. And that's why I think asking yourself, like maybe you get home from work and you ask yourself when you get home, when it's quiet in your car, before you go inside, what do I need right now? And then whatever that answer is, whatever the first thing that pops into your head is, just do that for 5 minutes. Maybe it's, I just need to sit here. Maybe it's, I need to scream at the top of my fucking lungs. Maybe it's, I want to cry. Maybe it's, I want to stretch. I want to walk. Like, whatever it is, there's no wrong answer. Maybe it's, I want to curse my boss out. And then you go into your notes app and you just type out everything you want to say to whoever you want to say it to. And I think sometimes we get caught in this like love and light. I have to be love and light all the time. It's like, actually, I want to feel rage right now. Actually, I'm mad that I've had to abandon myself for all these years. I'm pissed. I'm so fucking pissed. And, or maybe it's like not, so angry, but whatever it is, just like allowing it to be and not trying to fix it, just like sitting with it. Once I was able to just sit with what I felt and not try to fix it, not try to like make it go away or whatever, just like being a friend to it, being a friend to your shame, being a friend to guilt, or if you're grieving, or to happiness, or to sadness, or to joy, or to fear, and just being like, I'm here with you, and you're not alone, and we're together. And as long as you're here, I'm here. And being a parent to all of your feelings, because all of them are actually so valid and guiding you back to your heart.
Fuck. I love that you said with,
Mhm.
because so often I find myself attaching to the label of the grief, of the shame, of the emotion that I may be experiencing in that moment. And to say and to reframe it and to label it and label a, to view it as something that is with you and not something that is you. For me and my own mindset and perspective of it allows you to kind of like take a little bit of the pressure off, because it's like you're not too much. You're not the depression. You're not the anxiety. You could be experiencing it, or you could be seeing it, but it isn't necessarily who you are and who's the one viewing it.
Yeah, I think so often we will say things like, I am sad. I am upset. I am angry. I am happy. And it's like, I am me and I am feeling whatever it is. And to your point, like not taking it on. Emotions are simply just data that your body is like showing you. And with emotions, like, I mean, most people know this, they're just energy in motion, and you are an energy being. We are energetic beings. And so, if you're feeling sad, or if you're feeling a quote unquote low vibe emotion, low vibe doesn't mean bad or wrong. It just is dense. It's a dense feeling. And so, how a dense feeling might flow through you versus how like a higher vibe, faster moving feeling is moving through you. Like the frequencies are just like simply different. And so your body needs different things to like let them flow. And that's why I think sometimes it looks different. Like if you check in with yourself and you're feeling kind of low vibe, it's not like, oh, I need a vibe higher. It's like, no, I need to like sit with this and just like let it know that it's allowed to be here, and we're going to move through it so that we can continue just to flow. So yeah, I'm really big on just like feeling how you feel and not taking it on, or like making it mean something about you or your worth, or creating this story in your brain, because then that just like supercharges the emotion and then it prolongs the feeling in your body. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
Just talking to you is so freeing. It really feels so freeing. I it's like, yeah, that's it.
I love having conversations like this. I just feel like so often everyone's trying to tell you how to fix it. And it's like fixing it implies that it's broken and it's not broken. So there's this like disconnect. It is my life's mission, truly, to make every fucker on this planet feel valid and feel like they aren't broken. And I won't shut the fuck up until I do. And I think that the more you lean into the feelings that we're feeling now, like I feel so jazzed up right now, which to me is just an indicator that things are aligned, things are a go, all systems a go. And just to feel that more so that I can attract that more. And thank you for this. Your podcast is beautiful and wonderful. And I am so grateful that you wanted me to be on your podcast.
Come back whenever you want. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. It's this. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm literally on this planet Earth, is to be having these conversations, is to be connecting with people. It's literally to be just sharing my voice, honestly, and helping others to realize that they're not so alone in their feelings, in themselves. And we're not too much. We've never been too much, bitch, ever. That's it. That's it. Like,
Like drop.
if this resonated, share it with someone who needs a soft place to land too. Everything is linked below. Talk to you in the next episode.